Good morning, Vietnam. I'm trying to add a little bit of humor in this video because the subject matter is so serious. And in fact, if you're bombarded every day with bad news and no humor at all, it definitely can get depressing, and we don't want that. We want to keep upbeat while still knowing what's going on and still trying to prepare for that. But it is extremely difficult to put a smile on your face and go forward every day knowing, the state of the situation that we are actually in here in the United States. And in fact, we're seeing, in my opinion, continued attacks on the food supply. If you remember back in 2021 and 2022, we were seeing fires, explosions, all kinds of things happening, destroying food production, food processing facilities here in the United States. And it seemed like it was every day, or at least every other day, that this was happening. Just mysteriously just catch fire and burn down, blow up. All kinds of things was happening to these food processing plants and facilities here in the United States. This article here gives a rundown, a complete list of all these from 2021 to 2022. Unfortunately, 2022 is the cutoff for this article since it was published in 2022. There's probably a more recent list, but I couldn't find that because the powers that be, Google, try to hide important information, try to suppress that, and they will put, you search for anything and all you can find is the fact checkers, where they talk about this is normal, had nothing to see here, everything is just great. They don't give a list of the ones the plants that's been affected by this. They just tell you everything is great, nothing to see here. And if you are looking for alternative information, factual alternative information, the facts without all the propaganda attached to it, they will put that back on page 50 somewhere in the search results, and you'll never find that because you have to go through so many on that list to try to find it. You just give up after a while, and that's what they actually want. But I did manage to find this one. Updated list of U.S.-based manufacturing plants destroyed under the Biden administration. Here's an updated list of U.S.-based food manufacturing plants that were damaged from 2021 to 2022 under the Biden administration. And I will talk about more recent events here in just a minute, but this is pertinent to what I'm going to talk about in these other articles that we're going to look at. You can see here the list of all these different plants that just burnt down. A fire destroyed 75,000 square foot processing plant in Fayetteville, a fire ignited in Smithfield Foods pork processing plant, all the way down through here. Kellogg's, fires, explosions, fertilizer plant with 60 tons of ammonium nitrate caught fire. Just all the way down through here. I think there's 122. There's probably more than that now that this article here is. Not getting into the most recent things that's happening, but at least 130 cows were killed in a fire at Percy Farm. A massive fire swept through Wisconsin River meats. Just all the way down through here. Chickens and cows destroyed. Processing plants destroyed. You can see a huge list. 20,100 turkeys destroyed. 72,300 chickens destroyed. 61,000 ducks destroyed, 35,000 ducks destroyed, 10,500 turkeys destroyed, more ducks, more chickens, more turkeys, cattle, all the way down through here in this huge list. And this all happened between 2021 and 2022. And if you do a search for this, the mainstream media will tell you that this was all normal. It happens all the time. Nothing to see here, nothing out of the ordinary, but we know that's not the case. They also tell us that the economy is doing great. We're being gaslighted and lied to all the time by the mainstream media and by our politicians. And unfortunately, I think we're still seeing attacks on our food supply here in the United States. And with an open southern border having millions of people coming over every year, probably tens of millions of people coming through in the last 3 years or so, more demand on the system, more demand for food resources, more demand for all resources. So what could possibly go wrong? But I think what we're seeing now is an attack on the food supply using viruses such as this avian flu. Avian flu found in several states as cattle restrictions grow. North Carolina authorities on April 10th reported that cows in the state tested positive for highly pathogenic avian influenza as the state became the latest to impose restrictions on the movement of cows. Testing of samples from North Carolina conducted by the USDA came back positive for the influenza, also known as bird flu and HPAI, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services said. We have spent years developing methods to handle HPAI in poultry, but this is new, and we are working with our state and federal partners to develop protocols to handle this situation. Avian influenza cases in cattle first appeared in the United States in March. USDA officials have since confirmed the cases in 20 herds across 6 states, including Idaho, Kansas, and Texas, and a single case in a human. They have not yet commented on the North Carolina situation. USDA officials do not require testing and only recommend testing if cows start exhibiting symptoms. And that's actually, in my opinion, some good news. And that shows me that this might be real, that there might actually be a virus in this cattle, and this could be something that's naturally occurring, or in my opinion, it could have been manufactured. We have seen things, through gain of function and things before to make things more transmittable, more deadly, and being able to be transmitted from, one species to the next, like poultry to cattle and the humans. So this, in my opinion, says a lot right here for right now. This might change. USDA officials are not required testing and only recommend testing if cows start exhibiting symptoms, so they're actually sick. So there definitely might be something going on here with these cattle. Additionally, the majority of workers on dairy farms, especially large farms, are undocumented and are less likely to report symptoms. I worry we are underestimating human infections. The strain of HPAI that's circulating, H5N1, originates from birds. So we had it transmitted from birds and the cattle and the humans now. And the big question is, did this happen naturally, or is something being done through, gain of function to make this happen? I mean, who knows at this point? Dead birds have been found on farms that have had cows with confirmed cases. Bird flu is often fatal in birds and humans, but human cases are rare. The recent human case in Texas is only the second in the history of the United States. Both patients recovered, officials say, so who knows when that'll change, or if that'll change. Hopefully that doesn't change. But it's directly going to affect the food supply. We're seeing more and more of this. This article here, News with Views, and they talk about Bill Gates. They talk about him pushing for less farming, for eating bugs. So it all ties in together. It seems like get rid of the cattle, get rid of the chicken, get rid of the farming, and people be forced to eat, these bugs and things, which have a lot of different health issues that they can cause themselves. This article here, I've highlighted some of this. I'm not going to read this. I'll link to it down below. You can look at this yourself, because this will probably be flagged by YouTube more than likely. But you can see here, some insects are known to contain toxins that can be harmful to human health. These toxins can affect various systems in the body, including nervous, cardiovascular, and respiratory systems. Symptoms of toxic exposure can include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and in severe cases, coma and death. Now enter billionaires with their sinister motives. At the forefront is none other than Bill Gates, which he always is. He's always right there, Mr. Gates is, who is relentlessly plotting to manipulate the world's food supply, pushing for the consumption of insects and alternative proteins while buying large amounts of American farmland. So most people are not going to eat bugs and insects and fake lab-grown meat. Most people would prefer real meat from real cows, real chickens, real turkeys. However, if you eliminate those sources of protein, those sources of meat, then what's going to be left? This right here. And they will control, the food supply even more. And we have this article over here, something else I think is strange, this Lone Star tech. And in certain cases, if you get bit by this, it can cause a meat allergy. Kind of ironic, isn't it? You get bitten by a tick and you can no longer eat meat because you'll have a severe allergic reaction to that. This article here is from the University of Florida. It talks about these ticks. You can see here where the Lone Star tick is in close to half the United States, all the southern United States. When you get bit with this tick, it can cause, a meat allergy. How did that start? I mean, was this tick engineered to cause this? I mean, there's been cases where ticks have been used, and it's been pretty much proven that they've been planned to be used as a weapon. Like this right here, this is from Newsweek. Pentagon may have released weaponized ticks that helped spread of Lyme disease, investigation ordered. And guys, I was reading this article here, and I remembered that I had read somewhere before about, during World War II, that the Germans had plans to release millions of ticks here in the United States that would end up affecting the food supply here in the U.S. And I looked and looked and looked, couldn't find anything about that. So I had to go to Chat GPT, unfortunately. And I said, did Germany during World War II have a plan to use ticks to infect cattle in the U.S. to sabotage the food supply? I remember reading that, but I searched Google and I could not find that anywhere at all whatsoever. So I had to go to Chat GTP to find this, or Chat GPT. It's hard to say. Yes, during World War II, Germany developed a plan to use biological warfare to disrupt the food supply in the United States by infecting livestock. The plan involved dropping boxes of ticks infected with pathogens that could cause disease, such as rabbit fever, over the U.S. The ideal was to spread the disease among cattle, thereby crippling American agriculture, production, and causing economic and social chaos. This plan was part of a broader German effort to develop biological weapons, although it was never actually implemented. Maybe. The use of biological agents in warfare was and remains a topic of ethical concern and international regulation due to its potential for mass destruction and uncontrolled consequences. We see people like Bill Gates, unleashing millions of mosquitoes. I mean, he has good intentions according to the media. He wants to help us. He wants to save us. That's why he pushes, all the things he pushes, because it's for our own benefit, our own safety, because Bill Gates knows what's best. But I thought that was strange that I cannot find this anywhere. And I remember reading this back when I was in school. And I searched this morning on Google, cannot find anything about this whatsoever. So I had to go to Chat GPT to find this information. But you probably know about Plum Island. I think I have an article about that here somewhere. Let's see, where are we at here? Apparently I don't, guys. I had an article, I thought, of Plum Island, but look it up. They do this type thing all the time. And who knows if what we're seeing now with this avian flu and this cattle and things and all the chickens is just part of the plan, or if this happened naturally. I mean, I don't know. But it seems kind of strange with everything that's happening, focusing directly on the food supply all the time. Seems like a relentless attack that's constantly happening on the food supply here in the United States. And what could possibly go wrong with all these things going on right now? The border wide open, the economy, we have potential wars on different fronts in the Middle East, Ukraine and Russia, China could invade Taiwan. I mean, who knows at this point what's going to happen? So it's important to prepare while you can. Stop putting it off. Prep. Put back all the food storage you possibly can, because it's extremely important in my opinion. Try to grow your own food. Try to raise your own cattle if you have the land. Most people, if you have half an acre of land, can raise chickens. If you can, at least do that. Supply some of your food supply. I mean, prepping is extremely important. And everything going on now, and I think personally that this is an actual attack on the food supply. It's going to spread and going to cause more strain on the food resources here in the United States, especially with the wide open border, with everyone coming over here. It's going to be fighting for these food resources. What do you think in the comments below, guys? Do you think this is planned? Do you think this is all part of the agenda to get us to eating bug protein, to get us to eat lab-grown fake meat? Is that why Bill Gates is buying up farmland and doing nothing with it? He's not a farmer. He's just buying up the land to keep everyone else from doing something with that. It's all about the environment. It's sustainability. It's all bullshit, in my opinion. It's all about control and gaining more wealth and power for a few wealthy elites. Anyway, comment below, give the video a thumbs up. I'm the Creekmore. I'm out here, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.